Your Excellency, Mr. Peter Fischer, Ambassador of Germany to Georgia, welcome to the Georgia Today interview.
Thank you so much.
As a newly appointed ambassador, please introduce yourself and tell us about your past relations with Georgia.
Yes, so hi, my name is Peter Fischer. I came here at the end of August as ambassador of Germany to Georgia. I came from the United Arab Emirates, where I had been ambassador previously. My past relationship with Georgia was not very substantial because, unfortunately, I had never been here. My career took me to Singapore and China, UK, Israel, USA, and then United Arab Emirates. So you see, I never came close to this region, but when I found out that I'm coming here and I told people, everyone said either I've been there, it's great, or it's on the top of my list of destinations because it's great. Perhaps there's one connection that I have because I grew up and went to university in West Berlin. And you know, Berlin was divided, and so we were, like Georgia, facing the Soviet Union, facing Russia, facing that whole system. And in Berlin, we were freedom-loving, just like I think the Georgians are freedom-loving. So I think, despite the fact that I hadn't been here before, there's a connection.
The health issue of the former President Saakashvili recently has become more actual. It's very interesting to hear what's your opinion on that.
Yes, so we are observing this case very closely. In fact, an observer from the embassy is attending the trial. Of course, the reports that Mr. Saakashvili is seriously ill are reasons for concern. And our position is that it's the responsibility of the government of Georgia to make sure that Mr. Saakashvili's rights are protected, and also a government is responsible for the health of prisoners that are in custody. So we continue to observe, and we recall the responsibility of every government in the world to give humanitarian and adequate medical care to prisoners.
The window EU opened this year will only remain for a while. Meanwhile, our political parties struggle to find a middle ground. What would you advise specifically to the ruling party and specifically to the opposition?
It's true that there is a window that is open, wide open. It's an immense historic opportunity. Speaking as a German, I can say that was the greatest luck and blessing that Germany had, that after World War II, the European Union was created and we had the great opportunity to become a member. It's the basis of our peace and stability and prosperity. This opportunity exists, and it's true that the opportunity is now. So if it's a priority, focus on it and don't be distracted by other issues that might come up. And sometimes it's domestic issues. That would be my advice.
Which one of those 12 recommendations you see as the most problematic?
The independence of the judicial system, depolarization and de-oligarchization. Because there's three conditions to join the EU, basic conditions. One is to share the goals and values of the European Union. We're a club, we have the same goals and values. We only want members that share our goals and values. And an essential part of the goals and values is to be a sustainable, pluralistic democracy. Pluralistic democracy means that all sectors of the society enjoy rights and can practice their rights and partake in the political life and economic life of the country.
I won't apologize for my Russian diplomacy, former Chancellor Angela Merkel said a few months ago. Mr. Fischer, don't you think an open and direct refusal to apologize can damage relations between two friendly countries, two friendly people, especially when we know that thousands pay the price with their lives because of such diplomacy?
So Angela Merkel admitted that she made a misjudgment. But what she said was that under the conditions at the time, I acted correctly and according to the best of my judgment. And she doesn't see the need to say, I'm sorry for doing the best that she thought she could under the conditions of the time. In hindsight, it's always easy to recognize your mistakes. And Germany did make one mistake. Our Russia policy was always based on the premise that we have fundamental differences with Russia. But at the same time, we have to reach out a hand and find areas of constructive engagement, in particular for our energy relations. We said that buying Russian oil and gas is a stabilizing element. Russia sells, we buy, we have a relationship. Both sides depend on that relationship in some way. So it's a stabilizing element.
But they still fight. But they still start the war.
That's exactly the point. And all our arguments were right about stability, creating prosperity, creating economic opportunity, practicing cooperation despite fundamental concerns. But some people criticized us and warned us. And they said, your rationality is not the same rationality as Putin's. Putin has other goals: national greatness, controlling an area that he declares is his to control. And he will be willing to throw all that, what the West has to offer in terms of opportunity, away for this dream of national greatness, power, control. And we always thought that's unlikely. So that was the mistake.
Every year we have at least 10 cases of femicide. I'd like to ask you to tell us your opinion and share best of German experience with us.
Girls and women have the same rights as men. That should be obvious. Unfortunately, in many parts of the world, there are traditions that discriminate against girls and women. If you don't allow girls and women to reach their full potential, to make their full contribution to society, to the world, we will not reach our full potential as humanity. The only advice that I can give from a German perspective is that you need to, first of all, get into the minds of everyone that girls and women are equal and deserve no other treatment than anyone else. And second of all, you need good legislation. Acts of violence, murder, and even just discrimination need to be legally, or need to be illegal, forbidden. And perpetrators of acts of violence against women need to be prosecuted. So both education and a legal system. And I know that in the Georgian parliament, there's consideration of new laws as we speak.
Social movement My City Kills provided us with the statistics according to which Rustavi city was polluted for 310 days out of 365. Besides that, capital Tbilisi remains one of the most polluted cities in Europe. What should we expect from the ambassador whose personal priority has always been environmental protection?
Once you understand that the way we're living is not sustainable, which means we are depleting the natural resources of our world faster than they can renew themselves. Nature can renew itself. Everyone who has a garden knows you can have a damage in the garden and the trees and the plants. Well, in a year or two, maybe even next spring, it will come back. But we are using nature and our atmosphere faster than it can renew itself. Once you understand that, you know it's going to end in a big catastrophe. And the crisis is already here. If I open my window, I'm breathing poison. It's a catastrophe. So I'm very convinced that we all need to work together. It needs international cooperation. And it's a priority for me to work with Georgian partners on friends on environmental issues. It's already a focal point of our development cooperation. We just signed a development finance contract for intelligent urban mobility in Tbilisi and Batumi for almost 49 million euros, where we plan the traffic better, we get more public transport, more non-motorized transport, and that creates better air quality and in general better living conditions.
Ambassador Fischer, it was my pleasure to have an interview with you. Thank you so much. Dankeschön.
Danke Ihnen. Thank you so much.